Ooh. All right. Are we live? We are. All right. Cool. I'm live. This is scary. This is very scary because I have been I've been advised to go live. This is the thing that kids are doing. I'm looking at many places here. Right. I'm looking at many places because I've decided to finally go live. I may have bitten off more than what I can chew because I know I need to go live. I need to do a live stream. I need to. I don't need to, but I'm doing it because I thought it would be fun to delve into something I've not done before, or I have done in a few times, but very unsuccessfully. And so I'm doing it. And the question is, which platform do you do it on? Do you do it on YouTube, which is over here, and do you do it on Instagram, which is over here? Because I have a presence on both platforms. And so, as a wise man once said, actually, it was a little kid in a commercial who said, "Why not both?" So I'm live on both, and I'm live on YouTube. I'm streaming on YouTube here, and I'm streaming on Instagram there, and I've done it in such a fashion and such a time where nobody would be watching this. And if anybody is watching this, it's a surprise, and you've just caught me at the right time. But I'm pretty sure not many people are going to watch, and I'm glad for that because I'd like to stuff up with as little as audience as possible. And so I don't want to waffle on and give people a chance to join and see me stuff up. So I am going to. Oh yeah, and there's of course people going to be commenting and waving and things like that. And I'm really not that good at doing two things at once. Like there's just people there saying hello, and I'm saying hello back. And if I do typing stuff, then I'll stop talking, and that's going to be a bit bad for a live stream. Usually, I just record stuff, and you can edit it and take out all the mistakes, of which there are many, many mistakes that I make when I talk, and those are all edited out in my pre-recorded videos. But on a live stream, it's totally different. I'm not inviting anybody on, obviously, because I don't want them to sully their reputation by being on my live stream. So let's keep it just me ruining myself for the time being until I get a little bit better at this. So why am I doing this? Okay, so I got a fragrance and I thought, hey, I'll unwrap this, I'll unbox this, and I'll test this live on both platforms. And I'm testing this live, and I thought, okay, well, it's a vetiver fragrance, and I like vetiver since I've become older. It wasn't something that I gravitated towards when I was younger. I usually wanted a sweeter scent or aquatics and easygoing kind of non-challenging scents, which is which is a world away from the scent that got me into this thing, which is Dracar Noir. I used to wear Dracar Noir from when I was 14 to when I was 18. I was just wearing Dracar Noir all the time because I stole it from my dad. But uh, I didn't really like vetivers for a long time. The any scent that had that in it or that profile, it just wasn't appealing to me until I started getting gray hairs. I think it might be an age thing. And those types of scents started to appeal to me. And I brought along some of the vetivers that I have, some of the ones that I do like and enjoy. And at the end of it all, we're going to, I guess, reveal what the vetiver is that I'm talking about, which I consider the second best vetiver that I've actually ever smelled. And I'll tell you what the first best vetiver fragrance is that I've actually ever smelled. So you're going to have to hang on. You're going to have to hang on and watch me sip some coffee because that's what I'm doing late at night because that's what I do. Okay, let's see. What do we start off with? Let's start off with some obvious choices and get things out of the way. Obvious choices, and I've got a few bottles here with me. I've got some Terre D'Hermes. I'm going to show it. I have to show it here like this to Instagram, and I have to show it here like this to YouTube. And Terre D'Hermes is one that took me a long time to like. And I remember I worked in an office that was above a department store, and every lunchtime I would go down to the department store, and I know everyone's talking about Terre D'Hermes this, Terre D'Hermes that, and I went and I tested, and I'm like, no, I don't know, and I test it regularly, on and off, every couple of months or so. And one day I tested it, and I came back to my desk. I was working away, and something was just smelling phenomenal. It was just excellent, and it was me, and it was Terre D'Hermes, and that's the moment that it clicked, and I fell in love with this fragrance. And I've had, I think this is bottle number 2 that I'm going through, and yeah, that's Terre D'Hermes. It's a very famous sort of having a sort of rooty vetiver with a dirty orange sort of aspect or facet to it, and that's that one. Get that obvious one out of the way because it's quite a popular one, and one that I do enjoy. The next one, which I think many people have mentioned, is Guerlain's Vetiver. This is pretty much the vetiver. The vetiver. Here you go. This is that one there. And this is really weird because I haven't... Actually, I only picked this up in... I want to say 2019, something like that. And man, every time I smell this, I'm reminded of being in lockdown. And I've used up quite a bit of it. And so being in lockdown, this reminds me of and in Melbourne, if people around the world that are watching and you didn't know, in Melbourne, we had the world's longest lockdown and one of the most severe. Like, we had curfews, we had mask rules, we had the 5-kilometer radius. You couldn't travel outside of the 5-kilometer radius of where you lived. And yeah, it was full on. It was full on. And only one person could leave the house. And that was only to do necessary things like shopping, that kind of thing. And this was the fragrance that I'd get up early on Saturday mornings, and I would go out and grab a coffee from the local cafes, because being in Melbourne, cafes had to be open. Otherwise, there would be a revolution in the streets. Like, the world would be overturned if Melbourne cafes closed. This is the coffee culture, like, vibe in Melbourne. You can't take away coffee from Melbourne. Otherwise, the end of the world will come. And so I'd grab my coffee in the morning and I'd head out to do the grocery shopping for the family on the weekend. And this was the scent that I would always put on. And this mixed with like cold air, because it was like autumn, winter and stuff, when we did actually go into the lockdowns, this is the scent. This is the scent that just reminds me of that. Yeah. And so I haven't worn it for a very long time. And that's probably why, because like every time I smell it now, that's my scent association with it. It's a beautiful, I'd say this is a functional vetiver. It's not like something you put on that's fancy. It's not like something that you put on that's hyper realistic. It's like a Swiss Army knife of vetiver fragrances. And I consider it like a real masterpiece in vetiver execution, and also in like the multiple aspects and facets of that you can have with vetiver as a main note. Like, it doesn't have too much of the earthiness, the rootiness of it, but the actual the heart, sort of like what sticks out of the ground is probably there more than what's in the ground. Alrighty, so that's out of the way. That's number 2. The other one that's got to come out of the way is, of course, Encre Noire, with its different take on vetiver. There you go for Instagram, and there you go for YouTube. So I'm live on both platforms to all those people who are joining in. Right. And this one, now I've got all 3 of these in the lineup. I don't have the women's one, but I've got all 3 of them. So this one's the à la extrême. I did go through a bottle of the regular Encre Noire. And I do have the sport as well, which is weird, but not a big fan of that one. This one's my favorite. This one's the one that I've used the most of. And I like it because of it's darker, it's smokier, etc. And it's a more earthy, rootier, sort of darker take of vetiver and with that ink facet that, Encre Noire is famous for, because Encre Noire just means black ink, basically. And so that's number 3 of the very obvious choices to get out of the way. A couple of things like that. Yeah, I'm dressed floral, but I'm talking about grass, actually, but not that kind of grass. But all right, next we'll go to one that I do actually like, which is Guerlain Homme, which actually has a very nice rounded vetiver note in it, in its heart. And I think that it doesn't really get enough attention, enough play, because this was Thierry Wasser's first fragrance at the helm of Guerlain, and the first main perfumer at Guerlain where it wasn't someone called Guerlain, someone with the last name of Guerlain. So it was a foreigner, and he took hold, and people were very, very critical of his creation, Guerlain Homme, and this is the intense version. It's the intense blanker. It's a bit more darker. It's woodier. So if I say Guerlain Homme is a nice summer fragrance, like a sort of like a mojito kind of vibe, this one's more woodier, and it's and the thing that makes it a bit more darker and earthier and rootier and woodier is the vetiver that's in here. Guerlain Homme. Okay, this isn't a top 10 list, by the way. One other one that I actually rarely ever talk about, but I have mentioned it from time to time, that I don't really like blue fragrances very much, but blue fragrances are like well, there's only a couple that I approve of, or a handful that I approve of, and this is one of them right here. This is Narciso Rodriguez Bleu Noir, and this is the original one. This is the Eau de Toilette. There's the Eau de Parfum, and then there is a Parfum as well. And I have smelled the Eau de Parfum. It's similar to this. It's a bit richer, I'd say, but I do like this one still. This has a vetiver note in it, and I do enjoy this one as a blue fragrance, as a it can do it all kind of fragrance. However, I don't really consider this a true blue fragrance, because it just can't do it all. It's not something that's applicable for all situations. So it's a semi-blue fragrance. Maybe it's a dark blue fragrance. Maybe you can call it a dark blue fragrance. Something like that. Okay, so that's that one out of the way as well. One that I do really enjoy in the really high heat of summer is this one here. This is Bohemian Lime by Golfield and Banks, with the famous Australian finger limes in it, and Vetiver, which is the note that's actually holding that citrus down and helping it transition into the musks that's in the base here, for those people who can't ever experience the base because they say the performance on this is pretty bad. But I think that in the heat, in the application, you can actually get there, and it's the vetiver that really, I think, shines through once the lime is sort of fizzled out a little bit after the first half an hour or so. You get the vetiver in here, which is really a nice sort of fresh, invigorating, almost gingery kind of thing, right? But it's a bit more citric and tart than like a ginger. So that's Bohemian Lime by Goldfield and Banks. Hey everybody. Yeah, so again, once again, I'm streaming. This is like, if you can't tell, this is extremely scary for me, right? Like my heart's like pumping out, like beating out of my chest right now. I don't usually go, like, I hardly ever go live. I like the control of being able to edit and take out any of my mistakes. So bear with me if I'm not sort of all that communicative in the comments, because I'm also notorious for being like your traditional man, where like I can only do one thing at a time. So yeah, if I try to read or chat, then I'll just be like, it'll just be silence. So apologies, bear with me. All right, next vetiver, I'm going to do a 2-for-1, which is these guys here. And I brought these out because whilst vetiver may not be the main component in these Eau Sauvage Parfums, it does play a crucial role in the actual scent itself, I think, and you can clearly smell it as it's developing. Right. Okay, that's out of the way. Let's get to an actual top 3. And I did say this video was titled, the second best vetiver fragrance of all time. Let's find out what the third best is. The third best, in my opinion, is this. It's Vetiver by Roja Dove, Roja Parfums. This is, I think, a quite a true interpretation of vetiver, even though it has all the citruses and all the other notes sort of hanging around it. It's kind of like the sun with the planets in orbit around it. It is the main thing that's keeping everything together. And I think that it plays the whole dark and light aspects of vetiver really well, in terms of it's really sharp and zesty in the opening. It's got a little bit of a citric sort of facets to it, but in the base and the heart notes, it actually darkens down. It gets really rooty, it gets really earthy, and it almost feels like it was the root of the vetiver that had been set on fire, and then it was the next day, and then you had like the remnants of it, and you smushed that around in your fingers and smelled it, and that's what it kind of smells like. It's really, yeah, it's really like that to me anyway, on my skin. And it does last for quite a while. It's a really pleasant sort of scent, and I only got it last year, and I've already gone through quite a bit of it, if that's visible at all. Yeah, so it could be. That's a really good one, and I must say, I think I bought this by accident. Okay, I bought this by accident because I thought I had a decant of that I'd purchased that was called Vetiver by Roja, and I thought it was this one. And I smelled it, and I thought, wow, this is the most amazing vetiver scent that I've ever smelled, and I need to have a full bottle of this. I thought it was this one, but it turns out it was the Parfum version, not the Parfum Cologne version that I was smelling in my decant. And so I only figured that out after I bought this and wore this a few times and went, no, it wasn't this one. It was the other one. And so that one I consider the best vetiver fragrance of all time. The one that I consider the second best, even above this, is a little known vetiver fragrance. And I don't know if anyone's going to try and have a guess as to what that is. If you want to, you can have a guess. I'll give you like a few seconds while I have a sip of coffee and take a breath. 3, 2, 1. Okay, time's up. It's this. I don't know if anyone recognizes this. This is a little known fragrance from Carven, and it is called Le Vetiver. It came out in 2009, and it was, and I must say, I bought this because it had decent ratings, decent reviews on base notes, not on Fragrantica, because back then, Fragrantica wasn't really a thing. It was mostly base notes, and some of the reviewers that I paid attention to or read their reviews of, they thought this was all right. So I thought, let me have a look. And when I saw it, it was $20. $20 from shipped from the States to Australia, $20. So it was like a super duper cheapie. And it's 100 ml eau de parfum. And it is a reinterpretation of Carven's original vetiver, which I think came out in 1957, and it kind of looked like it had a wooden stopper as a lid, right? And it came out in 1957, and then it got redone in the late 90s as Carven's Vetiver again, and then the new company that bought it, they did it. Yeah, so that's the story. They re-released it. They got the rights to re-release it, but they called it Le Vetiver to make it a difference of some kind. I don't know. So I'll show you what the presentation looks like, because this is not the one that I'm going to unbox and test. This is the last bottle that I had, and I went through my first bottle, and this is my second bottle. This is my second 100 ml bottle that I had gone through. And I finished this in 2015, And the reason why I fell in love with it was because I sprayed it. I tried it and I went, I don't know if I like this, because maybe, like again, I said, vetiver. I didn't really get into vetiver until I was like much older. Like when I was younger, I just really didn't like the whole grassiness of it and everything. It just felt like really old manish to me. And then I became the old man, and all of a sudden this kind of scent started to appeal to me. I'm envious of the younger dudes out there that really appreciate vetivers, that appreciate fougères, traditional fougères and things like that, and non-sweet scents, because they're really ahead of the game, especially when compared to me. So I was wearing this, and it just all of a sudden, it just works really well with my skin chemistry. It just radiates off me, the florals of it, and I've had countless number of compliments wearing this particular scent. Don't ask me why. Yeah, men and women, I have to say. Mostly men. But anyway, the presentation I'll show you for a $20 cheapie comes in its own box like this, which is magnetized. And when you open it up, it has the bottle inside. Now the bottle is really nice. It's housed inside here. And it also magnet close. And it also has a wooden cap, a gray wooden cap, and the gray is to signify the color of the root of the vetiver plant. Okay, it's a wooden cap. Lovely presentation. Kind of still smell what that used to smell like, and there is none left in here because I've finished it, like I said. But recently, and like because this has been discontinued, as with everything that gets discontinued, it shoots up in price. It's a no-brainer. And given that this was a relative unknown, I didn't expect it to be so expensive on the grey market. But because it was not really done, like it wasn't really popular, so not that many people talk about this, so that there wasn't many of them around. And it wasn't like it was a worldwide smash, so there wasn't too many people that knew about this. And so that means less were produced, and there's less in production, and so it's even more scarce than normal popular fragrances would be. But I did go on to, and I have to say where this is from, where I bought this from. I bought this from a lovely Canadian website called Enchanté Perfumes. And I think a lot of people in the community here know who runs that place. It's Anuj. And he's such a lovely dude. And yeah, I reached out to him. I said, dude, I want these fragrances. I want this one. And he said, sure. And I said, here's my money. And then he said, here's your fragrance. And it came through sort of earlier in the week, a few days ago. And it's been sitting on my desk waiting to be unboxed, because I said that I would unbox this live by doing a live. Anuj is the man. All right. Ooh-wee. This is cool. All right. I haven't smelled this for 8 years. I haven't been able to wear this for about 8 years. But here we go. Still sealed. And time to unwrap my gift to myself. I wonder if it's going to take me back in time. Anyway. Same. This is a 50 ml bottle, by the way. There was no 100 ml. Otherwise, I would have... Smells nice, the box. And so this is the 50 ml presentation. It's exactly the same as the 100 ml. It's still got the magnetized flap here. And let's open it up live. There we are. There's the bottle there. It's a smaller version. Okay, let's give it a bit of a comparison, big and small, like this. There you go. Nice little Le Vetiver family. And the other bottle that I finished was, where's the oh it's inside the atomizer has gotten stuck inside the cap, and I gotta get this out. Oh, okay, it's kind of leaked in there. And it looks like it's broken. Bugger. Let me see if this still actually works. God, I hope this works. and it's all green around the yeah, it's all leaked around the atomizer. I mean, it still smells great, but okay, barely. It's barely spraying something on, so let's give it that a spritz. Bugger. All right. Yeah, if you can see, it's all sort of green around there, and that's because it has been leaking out. I have no idea how in a box like this, it's a really sturdy sort of cardboard box, and with the cap on it, somehow the atomizer has broken and it's leaking all around the base here. That's unfortunate. But what can you do? There's still juice in there, and as far as I can gauge, I'm able to spray it on. I mean, I'm just doused myself with it. But smells good. Smells good. It's not the most high quality scent, I have to say. It's like nowhere near a Roja, for example. Yeah, and I didn't pay like super duper crazy discontinued prices for this either. So it's not like I'm crying on the inside. But yeah, I think as long as I have the cap on and I put it on carefully and store it upright and not move it around heaps, it should be okay. Bugger. Okay, well, it is what it is. Maybe I can use it as a splash, like this. Maybe. Oh, God. Okay, so that's the mechanism there. Cool. See, as you can see, it does spray, but it's not the full spray. It's all right. It'll help me conserve. Look on the bright side. I smell great. And the thing that makes this a little bit unique in terms of vetiver is that it's got like a nice gin accord to it as well. So it's really sparkly and really fizzy, kind of minty as well. And so, and like a little bit of the kick of like what juniper does to gin. Really good. Can't recommend it enough. I really think it's a super good fragrance. Well, it was in terms of bang for buck. Now, it's still okay. It's still okay if you can find it at like this kind of price level. And I think Enchanté does do a pretty decent job at offering fair prices for things that have been discontinued for a long time. So yeah, kudos to Anuj and whoever else it is that helps him run that website, because I think that's really it's I don't know, it's important for those of us who really like to do the whole vintage hunting and want to smell the scents of yesteryear and things like that. So yeah. Yeah, that's basically the thing. That's my second best vetiver fragrance of all time, and like I said, the best vetiver fragrance of all time that I've actually ever smelled is Roja Parfums Vetiver Parfum, not the Parfum Cologne. The Parfum Cologne I put number 3 after the Carven, right? I put this at number 3. That's at number 2, and I keep talking about it, but I don't have it. So one day I will get the Vetiver Parfum from Roja, and that will mean that I would have the best vetiver fragrance. And vetiver I really enjoy because it I don't know, now it speaks to me. I think the more and more grays that I get, the more I enjoy vetiver. I don't know, something like that. I think that's how it goes anyway for me. I'm very physically. So now maybe I can focus on some of the comments that are coming in here. Hello to everybody. Like I said, I'm sort of like here on Insta and I'm here on YouTube. So hello everybody, and I'm very fizzy and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, look, I'm pretty sure that there's like other sort of fragrance reviewers that go and do like 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 6-hour long live streams. I don't know if they do it. I don't think they do it by themselves, and I don't think they spend the whole time talking about fragrances either. So yeah, I'm going to keep mine relatively short and sweet, just like a regular video, and say thank you all for joining. I really didn't expect that there would be more than one person joining, because I really tried to make sure that I did this at a time when no one would be available, and I was wrong. Okay, so I guess all of you got to see me do this, and hopefully I didn't stuff up as bad as I thought I was going to. Yeah, and so that's it. That's it. That's all I can. That's all I can do right now. Yeah, and I'll drop another video soon because I did mention in my last video that I'd gone on a trip with my family through sort of country Victoria, and we went through all these small towns, and I hit up all the pharmacies in those small towns and found a lot of, well, not a lot, but let's say a small handful of really old discontinued fragrances that have been sitting on the shelves for like decades. And so I picked them up, and yeah, my next one will be another one from that series. So yeah, thanks all for watching. I can't click myself away, but yeah, that's it for me. Ciao, and now I've got to figure out how to stop this thing. Maybe it's this button. Yes, it is. Ciao. Okay, that one's done, and end over here. Bye everyone. Thanks for tuning in.